whatever milestones that Black people make against hate, it ends up benefiting all the other people of color. I can't see what his end game is. The Republican Party is the party of racism, is the party of white supremacy, is the party of hate. This is wrong, and it needs to stop.
Everybody wants to go back and drag that piece of history up, but they don't want to go back and deal with what their ancestors did to the indigenous people and to Black people in this country. You got to go. And you got billionaires talking about going to space and Jeff Bezos. Go! Never come back. I hope you get lost. This man has lost his mind.
Boom! Come on, girlfriend. What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And as always, I am the host of the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And throughout that collaboration, I've been able to reach out to over 75,000 fathers around the world this year. And I am the board chair for the Global Food and Drink Initiative, a multimedia not-for-profit that showcases Blacks in the diaspora that are doing their thing in food, drink, and travel. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live on November 13th. Yes, where we are here in Toronto, it's cold. It got cold all of a sudden. And when people say, oh, it's getting so cold, I say, when you went to school, or if you went to school, Canada does get cold. We are in the Northern Hemisphere. So, we do get the chills once in a while. But it's now time to get hot, because the hottest time we have during this week, and most weeks, is with Aisha K. Staggers and Jill Jones. They are called State of Things, and they are with us now. Hey, ladies.
Hi.
Hey, how we doing?
Good. Jill's muted.
Yeah, Jill, what you doing to us? Come on, Jill. Unmute yourself.
Hi. Hello.
There you go. Come on now. Come on now. What's
How
been
you doing?
Doing fine. What's been going on?
I can't get it together with this time change.
Oh, really?
Not yet?
Well, because this afternoon, it was sunny at 2:00. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go sit on my balcony for a few minutes, get some fresh air. And then it's all of a sudden, by 2:30, it was getting dark.
Yeah, I saw your tweet.
The moon was out. You could see the moon at 3:45.
Yeah, I had that experience yesterday. I was sitting in a car, and it's 3:30, and there was still there was some blue sky, but there was a white half moon. I'm going, what?
Exactly.
I'm going, wow, what's been going on? So yeah, do you adjust to this spring forward, fall back stuff, Jill?
Yeah, I think I have so far. So, I get up kind of early anyway. I mean, it's been a little bit where I've been a little sluggish this week, just kind of unmotivated. I thought it was just the planetary transits going on. They're all doing a lot of different things. So that for me, I think my cat Ashley has not adjusted. She's waking up incredibly early, just an hour early, but still it's really dark out. And so she kind of got me set in motion. Got me back on track.
What is up, Blue Rains on YouTube? What is up, Jen Myers on Facebook, and everyone else who's chimed in? Hey, don't be afraid. Come on, give your comments, give your taste, because the ladies are going to respond, or I'm also going to put them up there. So don't be afraid. I'd say this is a safe embrace space. I don't know. That's all right. Also got DJ Renard, my close friend and business associate, is chiming in. Him and his dear wife run the most popular and most viewed Black Canadian website in the world.
Really? Oh.
By blacks.com.
Well, maybe he'll have a lot to say about our first topic, since it deals with a Canadian too.
Well, I guess indirectly, yes.
Indirectly.
And Green-eyed, What's up? Good to have you here. And Jen says, yeah, doing well. Hope you are all as well as too. Well, I am always good in these ladies' presence. So I'm not in a bad place. I'm in a good place. So let's rock and roll. For those who don't know, state of things is when these two ladies give their takes and POVs on what's going on, especially in the United States, politically and socially. So we've got a few conversation topics tonight, and we're going to start off with this continued topic of Travis Scott controversy continues.
Yes, well, another party person has died, so that brings the total to 9. A young girl, 22. And then there's still the little child who's 9, who's still on life support. So lawsuits have gone out for people. They've included not just Travis, but I guess all entities involved, Live Nation, and the insurance companies, I believe, and also the Canadian Drake, the rapper, him too.
Well, Drake, isn't Drake like Travis Scott's like he found Travis Scott?
What is the relation between Drake and Travis Scott?
If I'm not mistaken, I think that Travis Scott is an artist that Drake put on.
Yeah, I don't know. I know that in the middle of all of this, the first manager who had Travis has since come out and said how they garnered popularity for Travis in the first place. So he got a deal is, I guess, they rigged the whole system with fake followers and all this stuff on SoundCloud and hooked it up where labels who were shopping and looking for people, because that's what they do, thought he had more followers than he did. He had a lot of eggs, and they signed him based upon that. And he said that representing Travis was the worst thing that had ever happened to him. He was one of the worst people that he'd ever met in his life. And I don't know, managers and artists have their tales. I don't know. I just only know he gave an example that he had a seizure and Travis left him wherever he was in a basement having the seizure and left. So he wasn't too, doting or surprised about how it devolved, from having this stellar career to something pretty, it's pretty changing. This is pretty changing.
So Jill, with your long career of live performances, with Prince for many years and on your own, when you look at this, who do you feel is at fault? Because you maybe, I don't know how much you know about concert protocol and all that, but you could maybe give us a little bit of an insight in regards to this, because I'm foreign. I've never been a singer, only in the shower and in my car, by the way. So what is your take on this?
I mean, as one who's been in front of the scenes and also behind the scenes, and also performing on theater, live stage things since I was very young as a child. I mean, the first thing you're ever taught is that your responsibility, you're so responsible for what goes on out there. I've seen people audition for great roles and great parts and not get them, not because of their talent, but because they were wild cards and you weren't really sure what was going to happen on stage and could you count on them and rely on them. You have to have a sense of, your antennae, all of it has to be alert and aware. And, it's having also seen performers who were not in their best minds or on drugs or something and different things. That's the worst you can do because it puts a lot of pressure on a crew and the production team. And then I would say it goes in the stages of, the stink comes from the top. You set the tone for your show. You create all of these structures for people to follow. So I think that and then you have a bunch of people shoving and pushing, and that didn't help. But you almost always have to default that there will be some people in the crowds that'll do things that are unexpected. And I would have thought that seriously, after something like what happened in Paris with the Bataclan, with the terror attacks, that a lot of these concerts and people would have been prepared for a lot of different things. So it's really quite shocking and appalling to see that people don't apply anything from what they learn or experience or hire the best. It's kind of like really scary to see that, they hired people to do security who had never been doing security on that magnitude or that level. And basically they showed up hours before the gig, got a little slip, and that was it, and knew where to send their PayPal to get paid. I mean, that's another thing. Why are they paying through PayPal? Why is, whatever, $300, $400 they offered these guys? I mean, where's the tracking on that? This is a job. So you mean to tell me they were distributing a huge production like this through PayPal? No wonder PayPal changed its structures and its services, because, all of that stuff needs to be, it has to be accounted for. So it just seems like there were so many loose bolts. And working with Prince live, having been on stage with Stevie Wonder as well, I mean, I can tell you that Stevie Wonder's awareness of what was going on in his audience was a lot greater than what happened on this thing. Prince too. Somebody had commented to me once, like, well, you don't know what's going on in the minds of a performer. And that's what rehearsals are for. Rehearsals are for that how the show, the flow is going. You're also prepared for catastrophes and things that happen and what you need to do. So they just didn't seem like, it was like a karaoke show, glamorized karaoke show that just went bad.
Well, even on American soil, you would think that they would have security at tighter, considering what happened in Vegas a couple of years ago.
Absolutely.
Shot 60 people.
That too.
60 people. You would think that would be even more tight because of fear of that. Well, one of the things that I don't understand is how, and I guess this too might also be another reason why Drake's getting tied up into it, because Drake was actually at the show.
Performed.
Right. And apparently he'd left, like, people, I guess that was like the article I read yesterday or day before, was that he'd seen that things were going south and he left and went to like a club or something. And so that didn't sit right with people. I think that people, like you said last week, I think, Jill, was that people are, after the pandemic, we don't even know how people are going to behave at these things. Mm-hmm. And so the expectation is that people are going to act like they used to act at concerts and venues and shows and things, when now we don't really even know, because people are so, it's like people of caves. Basically after being under quarantine and not being able to attend these events, don't have the same decorum that they used to have.
No, and I think that it's revealed, what the pandemic revealed is that there is a shift occurring, whether people like it or not, and going back to the same old is not going to work. In fact, we have a lot of unconscious people. As I was talking to Dr. Vibe earlier, there's a lot of unconsciousness going on. And that's who the majority of people who were there appear to be quite unconscious about the world and where they're living and what their expectations are. And that too played into the collective for that evening. Had you been there, I would say you probably need to question why you were there, because and you haven't gone deep enough into understanding what shifted in the last couple of years. And instead, the universe decided to show you what shifted. And it showed everybody going from a club, because apparently Drake had rented out Dave & Buster's for an after party. They all went there. They continued on. And then the next night, they have footage or claim that Drake was at a strip club.
Hold on. So you're saying that after this event, mm-hmm. they went and partied at a Dave & Buster?
They did, and they're trying to say that they were not told. I mean, here's the thing. I've left gigs in a van with Prince before, or sitting with the band members or whatever, we talk about the show. We talk about your crew guys also are letting you know things.
Yeah.
And, oh my God, did you see that girl out there who took off her top? You see things. You just are chit-chatting. And believe me, those are precautions that your security take, because I recall once walking with Prince out of leaving a venue, and a girl ran up to me and punched me in the stomach. And we were all getting ready to get into the van, and she got through the barricade or whatever to come back.
Why?
And after that, but even after that, there was a meeting. There was a, Prince was like, what? This is crazy. Because also we remembered the time of John Lennon getting killed.
True.
From that.
True.
So
yep.
It's just that there are artists who are smarter than the one that was performing a couple weeks ago. There's just people who know their business. Their managers are smart, and there's people who take care of their business and don't, as I keep saying, stingy pays twice. And unfortunately, many, many young people paid with their lives for this. And to witness someone going to party and club and to pretend that you didn't know, you've got your phones on 9 times out of 10. Other people have their phones. They will tell you. The girls at the strip club probably told you. So, the interesting thing that's shocking is you can't say you live in a bubble in this situation. It's actually laughable, and it's an insult to everyone's intelligence for us to actually assume that your security, who take care of your life, didn't inform you about what happened. That's utter BS.
But he knew. I mean, here's the thing. He knew, because there's two reasons you prove he knew. One, they show footage where he had to stop in the middle of a song because someone like passed out, or there was some kind of scuffle or something going on. The second is they made sure that Kylie Jenner got out safe because she's pregnant. Yeah. So clearly they knew something was going on. And to say that they didn't tell him, well, if the security didn't tell him, I'm sure Kylie did.
Right. And then they tried to say this one thing like, oh, someone said they just thought it was a bunch of drug overdoses. Excuse me, even if that were occurring, if there were 8 drug overdoses at my concert, I think I'd be like, whoa, what happened? Or the wonderful lie that the Houston PD came up with that someone was injecting. That was a deflection. A friend of mine called that. As soon as it came out, she goes, that's such an obscure thing. It's happening elsewhere. And where does this come from? And based upon what? And they found out that wasn't true. Whoever gave that information to the sheriff at HPD, not that they were lying, they were only being told, wow, this guy got pricked in the neck. That was a deflection, clearly. And, I just think that for me, I want to say one thing. You still go on these guys' pages and they've got 99 million people still following them. At what point will Gen Z make their choice? You can't have it both ways. And the one thing, sometimes I get annoyed with Gen Z and everybody who follows people. You may like them, but who are you? Where are your priorities? If you really think this is that bad, if giving up that music is, where's your integrity? If you really feel that badly about it, why are you following these people? Why? So then you add to the collective pain. You're just part of it. And then they all should pitch in money to everybody then, if you can't give it up. If you stand by that. That was wrong.
I thought the drug overdose thing was ridiculous. Because remember a few years ago, like we had the show. I'm not sure if Jill had joined us at that point. It might have just been me and Dr. Vibe. And I was saying how in my city, people were just like falling out because they were like overdosing on drugs. And then there was like something like 40 people passed out downtown.
Yeah.
And it put all the police in the city were like in this one location because they didn't know what to do with it. And by the end of the day, it was like 140 people or so. And so even if that was happening, where
Why
was,
would you continue that?
where were the medics? At that point, you got to shut everything down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why would you continue a concert if you knew there's somebody walking around injecting people?
Well, so I just want to jump in here, and I just put up an article for those who are watching live and on the replay. Article here from Forbes magazine. Astro World blame game. Travis Scott rep says he couldn't have stopped the concert, while the police say they couldn't have stopped it either. Really?
Yes, you
There
could
were
have.
700
You know what you
police
do? You
officers
shut your
there.
mouth and you tell the band to cut,
Yeah,
and you walk off the stage.
it's true. There were 700 police officers, they claim, that were there.
Well, didn't
700.
Chris
And
end the
where
show
were
with,
they?
the Rolling Stones when people were throwing stuff at him and he just walked off?
Yes, but also
Ended.
Travis Scott ended the show once when he thought somebody stole his shoe.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
priorities.
Okay. All right. Well, as you would think, there's a whole pile of comments coming in here. So let's get them here. So Jen is saying, I just read an article about a 9-year-old boy in a coma. He was there at the concert with his dad and was trampled. So sad. Before we go any further, what is a 9-year-old doing at that concert?
Well, I mean, Travis had his child there.
Okay.
You start setting the tone. It comes from
Child
the
to
head up.
be.
If you're making it seem like, kids can come, you're right. Why is a child there? First of all, just for their ears, let alone.
I don't get that one. So let's keep on going. Green-eyed little baby L baby says, I remember the J5 show where Michael stopped the show and refused to continue until the crowd took 20 steps back, and the crowd did.
They all do. Prince did it too. Everybody does it. You have to.
Yeah, artists. She also says artists were different years ago. These new artists don't seem to care. She also says moral ethics and common sense are gone.
True.
DJ Renard saying first time listening to the show. Well, hope it's not the last time. Blue Rain says true green-eyed little baby. I've never heard of anything like this going on at concerts back in the day. MJ was the biggest artist in the world.
Right.
And he always stopped in the middle of his show when people were passing out. He always, Michael Jackson couldn't get through a show without stopping.
Right.
Because
He continues to say, and I don't think anything like this ever happened. I would venture to say there were more people at his concerts.
Yeah.
Tamara saying, quote, real unquote artists perform, will take notice of something going on in the crowd and will stop the show to calm everyone down. Quote, real unquote artists value the safety of those on stage and in the audience.
True. That's very true. Yeah. And that's what we witnessed. And I just feel that, but it will, there's always an uproar on social media, and then it dies down and people are back to their same dirty deeds of liking people and not willing to give that up, or I can't give up Travis Scott's music. The thing is, these are unconscious people. The music is unconscious. In fact, he was unconscious, so unconscious, he didn't even know what was going on at his own show or didn't care.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting thing that he didn't even know what was going on. That's concerning. No one in his entourage and all this. But one other thing about this, what infamous family is involved with Travis Scott? There you go.
But here's the other part of it, is that you take the music business now and the artists now, you don't have an A&R department that works with these artists, that crafts them and prepares them for being an artist or a performer. I doubt he did any kind of rehearsal. I'm sure he showed up to a sound check, testing, and left. There was no kind of prep. It was like, okay, you need to watch this, and keep your eyes open. It's just even looking at the performance, it was just like a run through.
You make a good point, because even had they stopped the music, here's the tricky part. Would he have known where he was to get back into it? Because it's all pre-recorded and loops flying in, and it's one person flying stuff in. Did production have a backup, like a situation where I saw Radiohead, Tom York stopped a part of the show for someone who was passing out. And then he said, please take this person and get them some help. So they did. he turned around like any normal musician or anybody who's playing and says, let's start off at the third verse. Now, people who play records at concerts, is your team on it so much? And are you on it, like you're saying, Aisha, with rehearsals to go, let's go back to the fifth bar? Could you do that? No, because they're not real musicians. They lack the capacity to do it. So in a really weird way, he really couldn't stop because he really didn't know how.
Yeah.
Not in the middle of a song.
Got it.
Not in the middle to go, let's take that back. Let's do a refrain, or he doesn't
even
have the
then,
jargon.
if he was
He
a
doesn't
real
have the musical intelligence.
And even then, if he was a real rapper, he'd be able to freestyle till he caught himself up to where he was.
Right.
I mean, that's that.
No, they just like trigger things on their little keyboards with the DJ, and he gets to do a solemn hymn or whatever. But to go, take me back to the bridge, take it to the bridge. I don't know if you could take it to the bridge about 3 times, like Prince would go, take it to the bridge, go back to the bridge, take it to the bridge. You could do it 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times. But I don't know how much rehearsal or any of that goes into any of it. I know a lot went into that crazy ass stage though. And the fireworks and the pirates, Yeah.
So
you only need all that when the performance that you're giving isn't that great.
Thank you.
Yeah,
no
so
blocking.
we got Eddie Pronk in. First time I've heard from Australia. It says maybe you're from Australia, maybe you're not, but I'll think you are. Australia only allows kids at concerts in sections with seats. Seems sensible.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
The thing with this is that this was an outdoor festival that had no seats.
Right.
It was standing only.
But
so that created an air of that should have kept people on their toes to begin with. That there was no place to sit down. And then the other thing that should have really alarmed people was that they showed footage from the gate where people were entering
at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
And people were rushing past and through. At that point, they should have determined whether or not they were going to carry on with the show because the crowd seemed kind of rowdy.
And they were also beyond capacity because the space was only cornered off for 50,000 basically, or whatever was there. So once they start presenting Discovery, I don't even know if these guys actually tape what goes on in your earpieces and if their production does that. But in a really similar way, we're looking at people that go outside the parameters of using union workers. And, I think Alec Baldwin suffered that sort of in their film thing in New Mexico. I mean, they use union, but there's also a lot of incompetent people and these side towns that are giving these tax breaks and tax deals for you to do your business there, whether it's a film or a concert, they're not pulling their weight either. And if I were the family members, I'd sue the actual state too for giving them permits.
Well, it is Texas, so.
And I'd sue them, right?
Texas. Oh boy. All right. Tamara says today artists come off an assembly line. Wear this, lip sync that, act this way, dance that way, make money. Nothing about talent, integrity, artist development, professionalism, or maturity.
It would even be good, Tamara, if they came off an assembly line. They come off YouTube. They come off TikTok. They come off social media. It's just a bunch of randoms, who made something in their basement with their laptop or their iPhone. And that's that. It's like.
Yeah, your first responsibility is.
Hey, I'm a rapper now.
Your crowd, I mean, I can't even imagine like with Prince and Michael Jackson, there was always a section for people who were physically challenged.
Yeah.
Always, like you always would just make sure everyone would have a decent time. But those promoters from those days are gone. You have a new army of them, and they are incompetent and they're greedy and they cut corners, and they should be sued for doing that because you are putting together a festival. There were festivals in Europe that have had this happen, and they implemented so many changes. And actually, there's some wisdom in there. There's some knowledge that they could have garnered from, but they don't. And it'll be interesting to see what gets presented in discovery.
Yeah.
And I really wished we would get to know if they were recording in their earpieces with production or on the walkie-talkies. You would know when the first person, said, hey, we got a problem out here, because it directly goes right to backstage. And your sound guy is on, that's just how it goes. Heck, even your merch guys know when stuff is getting funky before and start letting people know in the chain of command. So, but I have a feeling that they didn't tape anything, because it just seems like it was really just a trifling ass show.
And the bottom line is that even people, this is going to hit him in the pockets. Even though you can't bring the people back who passed away, hit him in his pockets big time. Because first of all, he's giving back refunds on all the tickets. Okay, that's one way to hit him in the pockets. But then he's going to have to owe a lot of these. He's going to be on the hook for a lot of medical bills, a lot of wrongful death suits. And not just the people who died, all the people who were injured.
Yeah, was it 300 people?
It's a class action suit.
Well, many suits.
And if they're suing him individually, no insurance company is going to cover that.
But insurance only covered $26 million. That was it.
That's
for the day.
Well, that's one lawsuit.
And it was AEG again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, they're the biggest insurance companies in the world, and they need to start taking it more seriously too.
Mm.
AEG is really a problem, because they continue to either they exploit musicians like they did with Michael Jackson with the 50 shows that they knew he couldn't do at the end of his life, or they exploit the audience and put them in harm's way and they don't make sure that there's any kind of safety measures. So they exploit everyone all around, and they should really just be dismantled.
Yeah, but the big problem is the promoters didn't set up everything. And, the audience too was, there was a milieu that, wasn't really acceptable either. And I'll tell you, that same milieu who came in trashing things got lawsuits in there too. What you want to bet?
Tamara says the audience is a reflection of the artists they support. Prince respected us and we respected him. You don't see that with the new generation of artists. Old school is the best. Hello, Christy White saying the long-term trauma they will suffer is crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
That is going to be huge.
Right.
That is going to be really, really huge. Well, we're going to hear this for a while. It's going to be interesting to see how the concert event business changes down the road because of
It'll
this.
change. I bet you this communication will be recorded in the future for all shows.
Yeah. And you're going to start to see venues limit the amount of seats that are going to be sold.
Yeah.
At least the floor seats.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So let's move on to our next conversation piece. Didn't think this was going to happen.
I didn't.
Steve Bannon indicted for refusal to comply with capital attack subpoena.
But I still don't know what it means. So I
Aisha,
what does this mean? Bloody hell.
I have no idea what this means.
On Monday, he's going to turn himself in.
Oh, really?
He can face up to he's being charged with criminal contempt of Congress and one other contempt charge. So he can get the max he can get is a year for each one. But the thing is that his attorney is going to try and run out the clock to make this go all the way until the next election, to the midterm.
We're going to push it to the Supreme Court.
They're going to push it to the Supreme Court, but they're going to make sure that it prolongs itself to the next midterm election, with the hope that the Republicans can flip the House and Senate and do away with the January 6th commission altogether. Mm-hmm. But in that, what happens is once he's going to go to court on Monday. He's going to turn himself in. They're going to bring him to court Monday, present the charges, all that. Judge is going to determine bail and whatever. So after that, they have, within the next 3 months, they'll probably take it to trial. And depending on what the result is, his attorney will likely appeal. And he'll do appeal after appeal. And remember, the appeals will likely go before Trump judges.
Which one is right, apparently.
Right? So those judges, what'll happen with those judges, we don't know. And then, of course, there will be a series of appeals, whether Congress appeals, whatever, but there will be an entire slew of appeals. This is going to end up going to the Supreme Court, 1 or 2, if the House and Senate flip. Wait till that end. But he's not going, don't expect any kind of immediate consequence for his actions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't expect it.
True.
But I gotta say, 3 weeks was faster than what I expected, but not fast enough.
Right.
They should have issued a warrant for his arrest the next day. Like I said, not even the next day. 1 minute after the day had passed.
I agree.
12:01, paper should have been filed.
Yeah. It seems like you would think that would have happened, and all of this is just, we have to endure all of that. It's crazy.
But I'm thinking that this is more so not for the imprisonment of Steve Bannon, but for the benefit of intimidating others. Mark Meadows was going to comply. He was going to show up. He was looking for papers. And then all of a sudden decided that he was not going to show up that day. So what happens? Well, the next day, Steve Bannon's indicted, right? So now Mark Meadows has a choice. Do you want to be indicted too? And of course, then there's Stephen Miller, Kayleigh McEnany. So I think they have to go for the big fish to show all these other little mini fish that they're not pulling any punches.
That's a good point.
We're not any punks over here.
Let me ask both of you. Many political pundits are saying, like both of you are saying, or Aisha, you're saying, it's going to get pushed up to the Supreme Court. Is this going to be an election issue for the next midterms?
Yeah, that's what my point is.
So, is it worth the Democrats making it part of their platform in the next session? Because obviously what happened in Virginia and New Jersey, people said we've moved on from 45. Should they make it an issue? And is it worthwhile making it an issue?
If the Democrats are smart, they will. Because here's the thing. We still have not figured out what happened January 6th. January 6th is still very current. It still troubled a lot of people. And it's, regardless if people are over 45 or not, that was an assault on our democracy.
True.
And it not only threatened the democracy as a whole, it threatened legislators that we voted for.
Mm-hmm.
They were trying to take away our choice in a leader. So I think, they should make it an issue for the midterms, because we still haven't seen Democratic voters want to see somebody's head on the stick. They promised us they were going to do something about the last administration, or at least some of the bad players. They need to keep up what they promised.
Is it okay? So I'm going to ask Jill, because I know, Jill, you've had some lukewarm feelings towards the Democrats over the last little while. Do you think the average American cares about getting to the root cause or the root players of this January 6th? When they're more concerned about inflation, probably, and the prices.
I think we're focusing a little much on what the Republicans want. And I don't think we need to give it to them. I think we do have a duty to expose what happened. The unconscious crew of Trumpdom, they are extreme people, and we will never reach them. That's what I hope the Democrats have finally started to understand. We will not reach them, but it's still very important to not be afraid to take step by step through this process so that we can usher in a new democracy. Because we have to be honest that what we've got going on isn't working, clearly, and that there are some things that have to be, and the Democrats can't straddle, the way they did during Nixon, or how they did. This is all new, unprecedented territory, and they should take the opportunity to stay in the moment and respond accordingly in the moment, not 3 weeks down the line. These are decisions that it's not about looking back at what the founders did. Those times are not applicable completely, because what's happening is they end up projecting more fears about our future. And I think you're giving the Republicans the chance to keep projecting more fear about what's happening and laying the groundwork. And you can only deal with what's happening presently. That's why we want it to be like a steamroller. We want the steamroller to just come and just flatten everything. And whatever is left on the ground, I think most Democrats who voted for Biden feel they're okay with what we're left with after we roll the steamroller. We have to do it.
So, but Jill, something you said there that it's not working for anybody, but and I hear you speaking from Canada, from where I'm at, but the challenge I see from where I sit is there's such a divide. People don't even want to get together. There's so much cancel culture that people are going to say, well, it only has to work for us. Who cares about them? We want America that works for us, not America that works for as many people as possible.
I think we've empathized with them enough. I think we've empathized with standing in their shoes enough that these people were in pain. They felt marginalized. They felt overlooked. We have dealt with them a lot. And we cannot keep recycling on the hamster wheel of race and all this other stuff that just keeps us derailed and stuck to the TV and media. We need action. We need to see action. It's no more time for talking. It's just move, get the subpoenas, make the moves, make things move forward. We don't have time for this. This is not these people. We can only empathize up to a point, but we've got to be strong and know that if they stay in darkness, it's fine, but we cannot contaminate ourselves any longer kowtowing to that. We can't. There are people, have you ever been watching movies and they're holding on to somebody who's hanging over a cliff?
Yeah.
And they got to let go. You got to let go. We've got to move forward, and we have to look to other nations that are doing things responsibly when it comes to making changes for different movements we see in our country, because clearly we see a different vision. We are in the driver's seat as the people who voted for the Democrats, and it's important that we voice what we want to them. Unfortunately, the Republicans are being driven by their leadership. They are being driven to the death hole, which is saying, this is what you want. Don't want change. You don't want to move forward. You want to still make $4 an hour. I mean, they are in such darkness, but there is a point in every bit of history that, you have to move away from it. It's so funny. And I feel like all Democrats and people who, they want to, what is that scripture in Matthew 7:24, where Jesus is saying that you build your house on sand or you build it on a rock. And we know there's adversity ahead, whether it's in our lives. What we're all experiencing now, Dr. Vibe, is a collective of people who are in pain and misery. It all happened. And we need to look at that as an opportunity as opposed to, oh my gosh. But we don't need to play into this bullying people online and telling them you're going to go to jail. Get the paperwork, do the due diligence, keep your head down, nose clean, keep moving straight ahead. That's what we need from Democrats. And we have to stop reacting as Democrats to the trolls and to all of it. We have to ice them out from controlling the room. And you don't get it by slapping back. We accept that this is how they are. Now, can we move on?
Yeah.
And get ours?
See, Democrats' problem right now is that they are so worried about things being bipartisan. You can't have bipartisanship with a party that does not want to be bipartisan.
Right.
They want what they want. And Democrats can't keep worrying about, oh, well, if we do this, when they get back in power, they're going to do this. Guess what? They're going to do it anyway. It doesn't matter what you do. They're still going to do it anyway. They're always going to do what benefits them anyway, whenever they're in power. So why not shoot your shot? Because it's better to make some progress in this time than to make none and then let them get back in power and make things 10 times worse. At least if you've made some strides forward and they get back in power, they take you back to where you were, but not way back. And if we don't do anything and let things stay where they are, they're going to take us way back into places that we don't want to go. And we're talking about, they literally were supporting taking away the freedoms of people in this country with the January 6th. That is the message that has to go, that has to be spoken into existence by Democrats. The same way that Republicans say, oh, they want to take your freedoms by taking your guns and, destroying Christmas. We have to say, you know what? They tried to take your freedoms away. Period.
I agree.
That's what that was about. They want you back in shackles. They want some of you to get on the boats and go back to where your ancestors came from. They want to take away your freedom. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that Democrats worry too much, particularly white moderates, worry too much about getting back white male voters. It's not going to happen. This party is becoming more and more diverse. They need to lean into that because those white males aren't coming back. And the older they get, the more conservative they are.
And I also think that we in the Democratic Party have to, if that's what the white moderates want to do, that's who they're going to be. We accept that too. But there's a new generation, a new breed happening within it. And I think the behaviors will really dictate what goes on. I do believe that younger people will get voters in the next round that neither party is really anticipating. And I do believe that there's far more progressive people. The only thing is that, the Republican Party is like Satan with the apple, like with Eve. It's kind of like, hey, I'll give you this if you get that, and you can have. So it really appeals to the lowest common denominator of their humanity. That's why I keep saying they're in darkness. And, and that one scripture I quoted, Matthew 7:24, he basically says, Jesus said, you have to follow what my stuff, what I said. And it's by behavior. It is, and you may not believe in Christianity or Jesus's teachings, but there are some really profound things about those parables. And I just feel that it's now about behavior, and that, ain't nobody got time for this stuff. I see people all day long. We're battling them all day long on Twitter. And I just don't think they need oxygen anymore. And really, but then there are people online who get their job there. This is how they're living their lives because of capitalism, by being online and their followers and their tweets and their sponsors and their this. So that's what kind of keeps it going. But in a real world, when people got real jobs to do, ain't nobody got time to be sitting up there tweeting all damn day. It's just the way it is. You just don't. And nor should you want to. It's just not that party. Get your nose to the grindstone and get prepared, because this is going to be something really exciting. But it's going to be exciting to see the shift. There is a shift. It is a prophetic on every single spiritual level you can look at, from Buddhism, Hinduism, to the Native American tribes, to every single spirituality of meditation, meditative Christianity. It is there now. It is inside you. It is the change, is the shift in you. You're not looking for something external to come and put it in you. It better be there first.
Okay. Green-eyed saying, yes, the Democrats are being too forgiving. Put your damn foot down, SMH. Put your foot down. Put it down. Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Democrats play this for the next election, and this is going to last until the next election. It'd be interesting just to get the average American say, do you really care to find out what the root cause of the sixth? I think many of them are more concerned about the inflation and high prices and just getting by day to day.
Yeah, that's a good point,
though,
and they are.
But we can concentrate on more than one thing at a time.
Really?
Because yes, we should be able to, because the fact of the matter is that the very people who want the overthrow of the government really aren't the low people on the totem pole. It is the people who are in the government. Right. They just had the low level bureaucrats do the job for them. Right. The people who are in the government, those are also the people who help control the inflation and all of that. So unless we deal with them, we have to think about it all we have to think about it all.
Good point. So we will continue to watch, and one of our regulars has a nickname for Mr. Bannon. I was hoping he was going to be on tonight. Chris, he's not on tonight, and I forget his nickname for Mr. Bannon.
The drunkard,
gas bag. Well,
yeah.
Booze bag.
Booze I was counting on Jill. If anyone was going to get it, Jill was going to get it.
If they have a lot of appeals, I don't know if that old booze bag is going to, Otis he's Otis from Mayberry. I don't know.
Okay, folks. So we're going to go to the next conversation piece. Theatrics exemplified. The Kyle Rittenhouse trial. Aisha has been tweeting a storm about this. So Aisha, first of all, for those who haven't been paying attention, can you give us some background of why this trial is taking place?
Okay, so there was a young man in Milwaukee who I can't recall his name offhand, but he was a father, Black man, who was shot in the back 7 times by police officers while trying to get in his car in front of his children. He was unarmed. And there was a protest, Black Lives Matter protest. And so Kyle Rittenhouse comes from, where'd he come from? One of those cornfield states like Indiana or Illinois to Milwaukee, claiming that he's a medic with an AR-15, and he shoots 3 people, killing 2 of them. So now he is on trial. Now, keep in mind, the 3 people that he shot were white, because this does play a role in this. I mean, they literally are Viola Liuzzo in those people. But the judge in this case has decided that they can't be called victims, the people who were killed.
Why?
That's just his determination. He's not allowing them to call them victims, but they can use the words thugs, looters, and rioters for the protesters. The judge also has admonished the prosecutor in front of the jury, like crazy. He's treated Kyle Rittenhouse like his grandson.
Oh my gosh.
And his phone rang during the middle of the trial, playing the song that was playing when Trump was doing the January 6th.
Oh no.
Yeah. He makes this off-color joke about Asian food. And he's just he's batshit crazy, and he's not impartial at all. It is very, very clear that he's in it for Rittenhouse to get off. It is very clear. And I gotta say, Kyle Rittenhouse got on the stand this week in his own defense.
I saw some of that.
Right. Of course, his attorneys lowballed all the questions and tried to make it seem like, oh, poor little him. He was being attacked, so he had to defend himself. I have to say that the prosecutor caught him in several lies and caught him up pretty good. Like when he asked him, well, so you were going to help people? Yeah. So why'd you take your gun? To protect myself. So you were expecting to be attacked? No. So why'd you take the gun? To protect myself. So you were expecting to be attacked. And it just went on and on like that for a while. I mean, it came out that he told people that he was a medic when he really really wasn't, that he misrepresented himself. They have video footage of him saying that he did not shoot anyone when he did. They
wow.
He tried to say that the guy hit him over the head with a skateboard and this and that, when the video clearly didn't show the guy hitting him at all, like swinging and missing. And then he shot the guy point blank in the chest. And he's like, well, he had a gun in his hand. He was trying to shoot me. The guy's hand was reaching up this way while Kyle Rittenhouse had the gun at his chest. I mean, it was just, and then he tried to cry.
I saw that.
And I mean, he struggled to work up some tears. None fell. I mean, it was just like, come on. The theatrics. Oh my gosh. I haven't seen acting that bad since the last time I watched a soap opera.
Right.
Jill, have you been paying any attention to this trial?
No. Once the judge showed who he was, I feel it's a waste of time. I know that there will be an appeal. Hopefully they'll be able to try him again elsewhere. I don't know. I just think it's a waste of my time, my energy, and I sometimes want to wake up in the day and enjoy things. This is just some old stuff, old Southern stuff that, reflects what this country, the bad part of it, as it spirals down. And I've seen enough of it. And I'm not going to waste any more time because it's unfortunate that I don't want to project, but it's just most unfortunate that this is where we are in 2021. And I can't get pulled into this.
Mm-hmm. The sad part about this case is that it went so bad. The judge is so bad for the prosecution that the prosecution has to now ask the jury to consider lesser charges.
Yeah.
And that's disturbing.
Yeah.
Because they shouldn't have to if the judge was doing his job justly, which he's obviously not. This judge is acting like they're wasting his time. It's like, and if you feel that way about your job, it's time for you to retire, man.
Exactly. This feels like another George Zimmerman kind of outcome.
Yes, it does.
In my mind. And I really, I would have to say to that judge, you're doing this kid a huge disservice, because all of that egoist crying and all of that is never going to amount to a hill of beans for this person's life. Right. This person is now, if you let this person, not have a fair trial where everybody, for the dead who were killed in an outrageous manner, if you do not allow that, just on a vibe level, it's not going to end very well. And I'm not saying, I'm just saying this is just not the way it's going to go for this this young person to not be held accountable, because that means they haven't learned their lesson in life. And there will be other lessons that come by because they failed to learn it this time. And saying you're sorry and lying and everything was so external that there is no clear remorse. And the mother and the acting, all of that, you know, they were wrong. And the one person who should really be up there is his mother, because you're talking about somebody who created a hate machine. She created a son who hates people.
And she said he'll do it again if he gets up.
Wants to kill.
Yeah.
But he may not get the opportunity to do it again, because we're living in very uncertain times. And, you know, she is really setting themselves up with their words and their actions and their own manifestations of something that is really out of all of our hands. And that's just the way I really feel about it. I don't think you get off that easily in life if you are not called to be made accountable for something. We may not see it, but it will eat away at his rotten soul, which is already pretty rotten. But she created the monster. And my God, people should shun her like she's wearing a scarlet letter.
Yeah.
No, really, it's absolutely, I can't believe. I mean, that's just awful that you create somebody and you use your son like he's your husband. Like there's just some sick stuff there. That's why this case bothers me, because I really truly feel there's something very weird in that family that's been going on a long time. Not to make excuses for this person, but there's something really bad. Is his father around?
You know, some interesting things did come up though. He said he was asked by the owner of a car lot to protect the lot from looters and rioters. The owners of that car lot had
no right.
They said we didn't ask him a damn thing.
He lies too.
He lied about that. But here's the thing. He was asked this specific question, and this is very telling about his frame of mind and what his intentions were. The prosecutor asked him, well, the police cleared the way by the car lot, correct? And he was like, yeah. He said there was no threat of danger or anything. Right. So why didn't you just go home? And he silence. Because he did not have a reason for that, because he knew he was there for something else. Mm-hmm. Why didn't you just go home?
And this says a lot about the opportunities that this country offers its young people. You can either get an education if you're poor, if you go in the military. If you don't, then you're just out and about, and your whole life is occupied by some make-believe myth of what men are, what women are, what girls are. It's really, you know, you're looking at how fast and methodical other countries are moving forward with their young people, and they're educated. Nobody wants stupid people around, uneducated. In Germany, you don't have to pay for university. I mean, not legit. And I could go there and not pay. You could. They invite people to come. It's set up in such a way and structure. I don't know all the details, but here's the point. Even the least educated person in Germany is 100 times more educated than an American person of in the youth brackets. We're not offering them anything. They are doomed by the time they get out of the gate. They're either doomed with debt or they're doomed with dumbness. I mean, I don't know what to say. And this is how their minds work. And we have got to do so much better, because the poor, whatever color you want to be, blue, green, yellow, black, whatever, if you're poor in America and you can't afford university, you will have nothing. And just you will be one of those, you know, that's it.
His mother looks like the lady from Poltergeist.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, she does. I knew she looked familiar.
Oh, oh, jeez.
I knew it. I couldn't figure. I was wondering if she looked like Shrek's wife.
Oh my
Shrek
gosh.
No,
was
she looks like the
Fiona.
lady from
Yeah.
Poltergeist.
She does. Yeah. So
You're terrible. Both of you. Bad, 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 bad. Not nice.
Wait,
Not
she's
nice.
30. Wait, she's 38.
I know you put
She's
that up, and I was like,
38.
"Ooh."
Oh my gosh. She looks, I mean, she doesn't look a day younger than 60.
I'm 60 next year, so
Exactly. And she, I mean, she looks like an old
but God
hag.
don't like ugly, and if you he will make you ugly.
The hate
When
from
you're
inside, the hate from inside is rotting the outside.
It really did, and
Oh.
like I said, when you start raising, I mean, God only knows. But yeah, I feel the George Zimmerman vibe, and hasn't he had a pleasant life?
Not good. Not good. Well, folks, we're going to end off our conversation about another trial, which is even more intense.
Right.
What's going on? Oh, let me. Tamara has something. Okay. Blue first says the judge is clearly biased towards Rittenhouse. He should be removed. Tamara says, you mean the woman was trying to say
Yes.
Carol Ann. Yeah. Yep.
Carol?
That's so accurate. Dead on the money.
Tamara, right? You got it. You got it. You're on it. You're on it. You're on it. Good stuff. Going to end off our conversation this evening with a trial that is a lot of people have their eyes on. The Ahmaud Arbery trial, and if there's been funny stuff going on in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, there's even more interesting stuff going on in this one. Who wants to talk about it first?
I'm gonna say that Robbie Bryant, his defense attorney, tried it. Okay, so he tried to take what the judge did in the Rittenhouse thing about not calling
pastors.
victims. No, even before that, the victims, right? You know how the Rittenhouse, he said, "Oh, you can't call the men that Rittenhouse killed victims." Well, he tried to object when the prosecutor said to ask one of the police officers, "So what did he tell you about the victim?" He's like, "I object. The use of the word victim." That judge had to put him in his place and said, "I never said you couldn't use the word victims."
Right.
But
You're
just
at the wrong trial, honey.
He said, just for the sake of argument, you've used it, it's fine, but just call him Mr. Arbery.
Right.
It was just so funny because he really did try it. And then he objected to Al Sharpton being there with the mother and saying, "Well, we don't need any more black pastors."
How many did they have in there was what I was like going, right, exactly.
And another one came another day with her. But here's the thing. It's a public trial. So therefore, anyone could actually go and witness it. The proceedings weren't closed.
Right.
That's the first thing. So he opened a whole can of worms because now every day, starting Monday, there will be black pastors in the building. But the prosecutor, she is a black woman, she's very thorough in what she's doing. Again, those defense attorneys are trying so hard to make Arbery look like a criminal. By like, oh, was he breaking in? We don't know. Well, we got our shotguns and just, it's like.
What it's interesting. Someone told me, why didn't they call the police? Interesting. They took their law in their own hands. If they thought that,
because that one is like, well, I'm a retired police officer, And here's the thing: they showed video when he first was being questioned by an officer, and that it was very telling. He was very specific and very precise in the wording and language he used because of having been an officer. And there were things that he knew that he could try and slide by a rookie. Like one of the first things that he was trying to get that rookie to let him do is, "Can I wash the blood off of me?" And he was trying to get that done before they took pictures,
Jeez.
swabs. You have blood on your shirt, on your arms. You're evidence. Your body is evidence now.
Right.
You ought to know that you can't do anything until the evidence on your body is collected. But he's asking, can I just run to my house and wash the blood off me? And then he was talking about, well, you know, my gun, it was police issued by such and such and such. But like that makes the shooting any better. Right? Like that makes it legal. And they were like, well, we were going to do a citizen's arrest. And it's like, again, they still haven't come up with an excuse as to why they pursued him anyway, and why they're trying to use the self-defense excuse the same way Kyle Rittenhouse is. And I don't think that in this trial, I don't think they'll get away with that. In the Rittenhouse trial, he might get away with it because the judge is so bad. In this trial, I don't think that they will get away with it because there is just so much testimony from the police officers to even with the man whose house people were going in and out of. They cannot prove who was taking things from that man's house. So many people have been going in that it's like, so why did you stop this one? Why are you going after this one when all kinds of people have been going in and out that house at all times of day and night?
Well, for people who haven't, 48 Hours, which is a news magazine on CBS network, has been on for many years. About a year and a half ago, did a 1 hour special on this case before it went to trial. I would encourage people who have any interest in this trial to watch that 1 hour episode. It was very, very, very interesting, and you get to see exactly what happened, etc. Caution, there is some material that may affect some people in a not so good way, but I thought what they did was quite interesting. And again, I'm just wondering what's going to be the outcome of this trial, because I don't know. I don't know which way this trial is going to go.
I think this one will go the same way as George Floyd. The Rittenhouse one, I feel, will go more the way of Trayvon Martin.
Jill, anything have you had any?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't, much hope on all of them, but I did see the 48 Hour special, and
wasn't that something?
I did too.
It was very, very informative, and it was succinct and to the point. And I do feel that, the only thing I just try to do is send really positive energy to hope that there are jurors there who see beyond this, because in my opinion, I don't really care about tools in a unprotected or unsecured construction site. I know from construction sites, it is to be expected. People have come in and taken your pipes, your this, your that. I mean, surely to me, you're just asking for it if you don't secure your location. And number two, one has nothing to do with being able to be a citizen. It's trespassing when you're on the actual property, but you can actually were they going to track him all the way to his house and kill him there? I mean, that to me is overstepping, and why it is so disgustingly revealing how heinous it is because the first DA lied and tried to cover it up. Yeah. And she lost her ass over it, lost her job. Yes. So in my opinion, it's like girlfriend knew that this was not legit. So those couple of little things that happened were enough to tell me I think these homeboys are wrong. And, and if they didn't, that for me is just how I see it. I think that the more ugly that they show themselves to be, I don't know in the jury how it's going to play for them, because I don't think many people think that they're racist, right? No. Number one. But these lawyers are being blatantly racist. Yeah. So to feel that they would identify their low-key racism, which they don't really want to admit to, with a blatant race, I don't know. I also don't know if they're going to relate to the defendants. I mean, let's be honest. One was stupid enough to film the whole thing, and then post
that same defendant also fell asleep in court.
Exactly.
I mean, there's that.
Yeah, I think they all know these good old boys. They know certain cutting Roddy, or this one who crazy as hell, so you're really relying on the piety of them to be a little bit sanctimonious about their own level of hatred or racism, because it's pretty obvious to me that this is it doesn't really matter. Did he have anything on him that was stolen? I mean, those are really things like, so we're all gonna agree that this was cool when there was nothing on him. Nothing. There was no evidence of anything being stolen. So in my mind, you can't kill that person that day. Okay.
Well, their whole thing was, and in all the videos that they showed and the testimony from the officers who were telling what they
and
were
it wasn't
told,
your house.
it was what they were saying was that he was running fast or hauling ass. Now, here's the thing.
He didn't look like he was running all that fast until their cars start coming after him.
Exactly. Let me tell you something. I don't know any Black person alive that is going to stop when two white men in a pickup truck with guns look at them and say, "Hey, stop. We want to talk to you."
I don't know anybody of any
there's
color.
no conversation when you have guns. First of all, that's not a conversation. That ends up with me dead. First of all. Second of all, he was not obligated to talk to them. And that is the whole racism.
Ahmaud Arbery was a woman. Would a woman even stop? No.
Exactly. No.
With all those men in the car. I mean, vulnerable people identify with vulnerable situations. And that's why I think they could end up losing this case. Good for them for losing it, because, if you even just take the race out of it, come on, a child wouldn't stop. Stranger danger. Nobody would, because just look at these guys. And who are they to be stopping anybody on the street? Yeah. Who are they? Who died and made them, God?
And it was very clear that the reason he was shot was because he did not stop.
Absolutely.
Because he did not listen to them and do what they wanted.
And
Because there was no reason for that man to get out the car.
At all.
He got out the car because he would not stop and talk to him. Well, I'm going to make you talk to me.
Exactly.
Because if all you want to do is talk, why'd you get out with the gun?
I know. It's a shame. It's incredibly sad. But like I said, I just pray and send as many good vibes for this, because it really,
this judge has been very good, though, at the shenanigans that the defense attorneys have been trying to pull. He's been good at calling them on them.
That's good, because they're already going to try to look for an appeal too. But, I just don't see that's going to be as clear cut and easily. Yeah. And also remember, on appeal time, a lot of attorneys that you have fall away because they haven't gotten paid. So then you revert back to the state. And I think if we can get past that point, then it kind of, seals it. The deal.
I think it's the son, it's either the father or the son, has this one attorney who's acting like he's just a little old dumb country lawyer that doesn't know anything. And I didn't mean to touch this, and sorry, judge, I didn't mean to approach without asking. Like, come on,
Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, judge. It's like it's like a skit, right? It's almost unbelievable. Yes. It's too unbelievable.
I'm just a dumb country lawyer.
Yeah. We've seen that. I actually think I saw that on a Quantum Leap episode.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, actually, there is an episode where they were going to take this. Yes, the defense should go and watch it, because that's what they're acting like.
Well, it's time to end the conversation when we're talking about Quantum Leap.
One of my favorite shows.
I love Quantum Leap.
You love it?
I'm so
Yes.
sad that Dean Stockwell died.
Yes, he passed
I know
away this week.
He did, and I
Passed
loved
away
him.
this
I
week.
loved
Passed away.
loved
Well,
him. What a great character actor.
I know.
All around. He was in some great films.
well, rest in power, Dean. There's another episode of State of Things with Aisha and Jill. We got through it. Only 4 conversation topics, and we rocked the house. It was wonderful. Another epic conversation going on tonight. But before we get going, we'd like to do some things. First and foremost, we'd like to thank the ladies for taking time out of their schedules to share with us, because they are the stars. I'm just the fodder. So first up, how can we get a hold of Jill Jones?
You can go to my Twitter at Jill D. Jones. I don't often just engage. It's easier than DMs. I don't really care for DMs and stuff. It's just better to just talk to me straight.
Got it. Next up, we have Aisha K. Staggers. I'm going to add her right now. There she is. There we go.
It says, okay, Aisha Staggers on Twitter. That's the easiest way to find me.
Excellent as always. And I am Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, host and producer of this epic conversation called State of Things with Aisha and Jill on 9 p.m. Eastern time on Saturdays. And we love everyone who came by. We even had some new people tonight, but let's give the big shout outs to people who were here. Let's give the roll call. So big thanks to Jen, Blue Rains, DJ Renard, Green Eyed. Let's see, anyone else? Tamara, Eddie Prank, and that's it. Christy White. Christy, have to get back on soon. Got to get on soon. Back on, Christy. I know you're keeping busy. We need to get you back on. Outside of that, anyone else, if I did mention you, it's my head, not my heart. And we will be back next week. Oh, Jen has a comment here. Great conversation as always. Well, you helped make it a great conversation, Jen. I am Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. And I am the host of the only online show in the world for dads that is sponsored by Dads and Fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. I also am the board chair for the Global Food and Drink Initiative. It's a multimedia not-for-profit that showcases Blacks in the diaspora that are doing their thing in food, wine, and travel. So, as always, I want to say thank you for everyone for watching. Also, shout out to us, follow us on Twitter, give us suggestions for topics. And we'd like 1 or 2 of you before the end of the year to get up and come on the platform. So get in touch with me. We'd love you to come on the Dr. Vibe show and hang out with Jill, Aisha, and myself. We'll be kind. We'll be nice. We won't bite. So, as always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. We'll see you next Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern time. State of Things with Aisha and Jill. God bless. Peace to well. Keep the faith and walk good.